Welcome everybody to the late night Christian Marauder thing I'm going to do. This is part two of the AI governance and Satan's slaves. I wanted to do. I mentioned it earlier today. I was going to come back later and do this. I want to do it while it's fresh on my mind and just going to kind of chat for a second before we get started here. I'm always trying to figure out how to improve what I do. So if you have any thing like that, how I can improve. I'm terrible at titles. I've always been horrible at trying to title something. I remember all through elementary school, junior high, high school, and college in English lit or literature or whatever we had to take. Um, I had to do writing. My titles were terrible. And I have no idea how to do a title. How do you do a catchy title? For some reason, there's this, just pray that this mental block gets out of my head so I can think of something creative so that people will, um, be more intrigued with my content. And also how to, um, I'm going to be changing some of the content too. Um, but anyway, I know that people need to really share the video and like the video. Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button, and you'll increase your visibility. But right now, my content is um, I got too many strikes against me in the past from 2020 on up to early part of 2023. Because of certain topics I did not know that were not allowed to talk about, and there was no information about that. You just suddenly got a warning, and then you couldn't post, and you got two warnings and two strikes, and if you get a third strike, they'll remove your entire channel. It was like you just shake your head and go, "What did I do wrong? Why don't you give me a chance to edit whatever it is you want? Why don't you tell me I can fix it?" But no, 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 no. So that is another reason um, that I know that I get more views than what they say. I can count the hours and do the math, and it's pretty easy to do that. So if you have any ideas of more catchy titles than I come up with and how to make a better description that can catch readers' attention, let me know. That's my weakest area. Next, I'll be continuing talking about the afterlife and I'm going to continue on my Heaven Beckons book where I read excerpts from it and talk about it and go into more details that I did not go into. I feel led to do that, but also right now I'm going to continue doing this little special report on AI governance and Satan's slaves. And this title of this one this week is called, let me bring it up here for you, Satan's Slaves, Their New Order. Part 2. This is part 2 of AI governance and Satan's slaves. This is part 2 of that series. So, whoops. Well, folks, here I am. I didn't want to bring that slide up too soon, but I'm going to be talking about that document like I said earlier. But before we get started here, let me just go ahead and jump right in. And if you missed part 1, go back and go over that. Sorry about it. It took about an hour and 23 minutes to do it, and we had a live chat afterwards real quickly. Then I took off to go to my brother-in-law's birthday, um, and his wife made him a nice birthday cake, and a lot of people came over and celebrating his birthday, and it was a fun time. So I had to run over and do that. I wanted to do part 2 while still fresh in my mind. With that, folks, we're going to do a quick review. With that, we're going to get right into it. Alexander Slolinsky, I can never pronounce his name, hints to sea. I can't pronounce his name. Warned in the Gulag Archipelago, there always is a fallacious belief it would not be the same here. Here, such things are impossible. Alas, all the evil of the 20th century is possible everywhere on earth. And people have a tendency to hide their head in the sand, especially in the church world. And that's why the Lord told me a long time ago, and I refused to do it until He kept pressuring me in a gentle, prodding way. You need to study the occult. You need to look at this stuff. I know you hate it. You have reasons to hate it. You saw the what happens to people in this abyss, this a pit called hell, and I been traumatized by it, and I saw the face of evil, and so I did not want to do or study the occult world or any of this stuff. I'd just rather chill out, teach salvation messages, which is my forte, be the evangelist, go out and save souls, and leave this for the experts. But no, he pressured me and pressured me and pressured me. It's sort of like, how does God speak to you? A lot of time it's a knowing. It's like a gut feeling that you can't shake. You better do it. You cannot do it. And so that's the type of thing. And finally, I acquiesced and began studying it. And I found out more than I can chew. And one thing I found out, which Alexander says, I can say his first name, and it's true. We don't think such things as evil can be possible in our lifestyle. In America or the West, we're the land of liberty and freedom and free speech, and we can say and speak our minds, and nobody's going to bother us. And we can have a civil debate. We don't have to worry about this stuff. We don't live in a totalitarian society. The Berlin Wall came down in 1989. Communism was destroyed. It no longer exists. And we don't have any fascists anymore. Everything is hunky dory. Really? Really? What we are facing, folks, is what is known as AI governance. I just touched on that, and I'm going to go a little bit more into this as the intro goes here. It goes like this. This is AI governance. What am I talking about? And these are screenshots I'm putting up here on you. Microsoft unveils, it's from their website. You can go on Microsoft website and look this up. Microsoft unveils Majorana 1, the world's first quantum processor powered by topographical cubics. I'll try to explain it. It says built with a breakthrough class of materials called a topoconductor. What is a topoconductor? A topoconductor are two metallic elements, as I understand it, and they do something. They blend together and make a new element, which the processor can work faster, cooler, and more efficiently. And so we have uh, 2 trigabytes, or whatever you call them, um, uh, processing. I mean, not processing, but hard drives and stuff. And our processors are what is our processing speed? I'm not a computer geek, so I don't know the processing speed of the latest computer, but it's up there. But imagine doing this by a multiplied uh, billions, billion cubed to the second power or something. That is probably the processing speed. And you can contain data. This controls data. You can do programming as well as store data. So these things are going to be used in quantum computing and making huge strides in processing speed as data collection. This will make supercomputers. Okay, it says quantum computers promise to transform science and society. Wow. Transform science and society. I can read the book of Revelations chapter 13 and tell you about a mark and how an individual arrives and transforms society. I could tell you that too, who will use science and society, but only after they achieve the scale that once seemed distant and elusive, and their reliability is ensured by quantum error correction. Today, we are announcing a rapid advancement on the path of useful quantum computing. Majorana 1 is the world's first quantum processing QPU powered by a topographical core designed to scale 1,000,000 cubics in a single chip. That's a lot of processing speed. The hardware is protected by topographical cubic, Research published today in Nature, along with data shared by the station Q meeting, demonstrates our ability to harness a new type of material and engineer a radically different type of cubic that is small, fast, and digitally controlled. A, a device roadmap to reliable quantum computation. Our path is a single cubic devices arrays and enables quantum error correction. In other words, you can it's amazing what you'll be able to do with this thing. And so they call it cubics. And in the article it talks about Q. I remember in 2020, Q was a bad letter to use. Don't get and how why are they using it? Maybe they're it is a Freudian slip of some type, that set up. When someone sent me, I can't remember who sent it to me about this. Somebody playing a video game, and I'm getting sick to my stomach watching because all the movement, and they're trying to say this is a secret weapon of what's going to happen, and this is going to happen in 2020, and none of it did. It backfired. I'm going, who listens to this nonsense? The only Q I know is on Star Trek, The Next Generation, who was probably Trelane in the first original Star Trek. There's this character called Trelane, and the Star Trek Next Generation's person is called Q, who was the antagonist, who was the chaos maker. And so just interesting. I'm sorry. I'm a Star Trek fan. I like sci-fi. I can't help it. So I like history shows. But anyway, so that's what we're looking at. So why are they doing this? So I'm going to read some of these again. The controlling mind of the totalitarian foresees a paradise in which every action, every object is monitored, labeled, and controlled. There will be no room for any bad thing to exist. Nothing and no one will be out of place. And again, people like Mr. Alexander said, it just, like he said, people just simply cannot think that such things as evil could possibly happen here. And that is a fallacious idea. And now you have this AI governance here. Let's look at AI governance. I showed you this slide before from the WEF, AI Governance Alliance. They want to make an alliance. What is this? And so, this alliance involves this quantum computing. Quantum computing. Microsoft unveils this computing device. Here are some things that this from Microsoft Office, from their just type in Microsoft Cubic, and you'll find this site. I was going to post a link, but if you see my screenshot, the link is mega huge, long, and it just ain't going to work. But it says, what's new? The Marijuana chip craves new path for quantum computing. And it's unveiling the first topographical quantum processor, the world's first topo conductor, 1 million cubics on one small chip. What does it do? What's it for? Well, it is our quantum roadmap. There are 8 billion reasons to build a quantum supercomputer. Our growing global footprint of 8 billion people requires new innovations to reverse climate conditions and address food insecurity. Scientists are on a mission to make discoveries that will solve humanity's hardest problems. This is why they're pushing the boundaries to empower scientists to innovate at a scale with speed. Wow. You look at the Gates Foundation and the eugenics program. His father, I think Gates' father was a eugenist. He's a eugenist. He wants to reduce the world's population. And I don't have the slide up here. I don't have time to bring it up. I should have posted here. But you saw it. It's the 1994 program of action for population growth that from 1992 they actually define what sustainability is, and sustainability involves if you want to eradicate it's on section 23 point something. It's like in the middle of that short pamphlet. And so they implemented this policy and the definitions in it and the plan to make it sound good. They're saving just like this same words. We're here to we're going to address food insecurity, and we're going to reverse these these climate issues. We're going to solve poverty. We're going to solve all the world's problems and through what is known as sustainability. So the UN defines sustainability by implementing this program of actions definition. You heard me say it before. They want to resolve uh, population, poverty, and climate problems through eradication. In other words, they want to use the eradication of population in order to eradicate poverty, in order to eradicate climate issues, eradicate fuel shortages, eradicate um, um, food shortages. I just find it rather interesting to see this is one of the reasons, the main reasons they're building it. Okay, let's go look at this. The quantum supercomputer. Microsoft is developing a topographical cubic that is unique, small, fast, and controllable, which will unlock a scaled quantum supercomputer. Oh, I just can't wait. Wow, all my life I've been waiting for this quantum computer to come on there and to tell me how to live my life. You think AI is really something now? You go in chat GP, you can design this, make a this, that, and the other thing, and put pictures for your videos and all this stuff. And it's like, wow, just think what this thing will do. It definitely is a wow factor there. And look at quantum networking. Quantum networking has the potential to unlock capacities by connecting remote quantum computers and solving problems distributed in quantum clusters. And to achieve unity scale quantum computing must graduate through three implementation levels. Level 1, the Marauder 1 level, foundational, level 2 resilient, and level 3 scale. Wow, let's look at these scales on their website. Quantum computing implementation levels. Learn more. Okay, level 1 is foundational. There's a little cubic, a little circular sphere. That's level 2 is resilient. They fill it with the stuff they make, and then they want to put it inside of a cube. So you have a cubic. And so inside that cube, you got a bunch of these little circles inside of a bigger circle. To say this, you have one little orb placed inside of a larger orb, then placed inside of the Borg-like collective. I mean, the cube. Also known as this thing. Looking at that cube kind of freaks me out because I saw what was in the abyss, and I saw cells, and the Bible talks about chambers of death. And so when I see a cube like that, it freaks me out because I said chambers of death, cells. I talked about them in my book, A Land Unknown, Hell's Dominion. Don't know what I'm talking about? Check out my book. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, wow, cubes, orbs. Wow. Okay. I'm not trying to get off on any tangent now, but it's a path to a level 3 is quantum supercomputer. So you can put all these things together inside this big and make a big supercomputer to control everything. What could possibly go wrong? So what possibly could go wrong is being answered by the WEF, the most noble, looking out for the best interest of you, of the entire world. I'm being facetious. I'm being cynical. Okay, but I digress. But so they have to have AI governance. And it's right now, this is from Data IKU. Again, I could not put the entire um, 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 website link to it because it's one of those long ones. It says preparing for a new AI regulation to save costs and ensure compliance. So this is about ensuring compliance. Organizations worldwide are prioritizing regular readiness for upcoming AI regulation. This involves preparing by raising awareness, enhancing understanding, and establishing strong foundation to facilitate compliance. And it talks about this book. And so the next page over here, non-compliant organizations potential fines up to whatever C35 million or 7% of their worldwide turnover. In other words, they're going to get a cut. So if you're making billions of dollars, you're going to pay 7% of whatever worldwide profit you're making. So it says here, regulatory risk extends beyond financial penalties, goes beyond financial penalties, goes on beyond financial penalties. Listen to that. As non-compliant organizations may suffer reputational damage and loss of customer trust, as well as the cost of abandoned AI efforts due to a lack of compliance. Tools like the data queue, blah, 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 ensure top-level compliance. What type of compliance? That scares me. Financial penalties for non-compliant. If I was running a business, I wouldn't want that hanging over my head. I like to be able to explore what this new technology can actually unlock for the better of the men of the company or whatever. But there's going to be rules and regulations. Okay, what kind of rules and regulations? Okay, let's look at AI governance. This is, again, I should have wrote the link down, but all you have to do is in the Google search, the AI Google generated search engine and the AI, type in AI governance. And so you go to, and this is the AI telling on itself. AI governance is a set of policies, practices, and tools that guide the development and use of AI systems. It is important for ensuring that AI is used responsibly and ethically. And here I'm looking and reading about all that, and I'm going, who is defining ethics? Well, it ain't you and me. It's not. It's not common sense. This is the progressives are defining what is ethical. We went 4 years in America of them defining what is ethical. Men can lactate. Men can have babies. A man who thinks he's a woman can play in women's sports, can go in their bathrooms and take a shower in the girls' locker room because he thinks he's a woman. If you ever worked with predatory sex offenders, this is a dream come true for them. They fantasize about this stuff. I'm telling you, I've worked in the field. I can't tell you who the people are, but in ones I worked with, they had to keep a fantasy diary, and they fantasize about things like this. Okay, these are the people who are going to be ethical. Okay. Okay, it is important for ensuring that AI is used responsibly and ethically. Why is AI governance important? And what I found fascinating about this, because in a very short description, it describes what AI governance is without showing a bunch of clips. So it mitigates risk. AI governance helps prevent misuse, bias, security breaches, and privacy violations. Have you ever have a YouTube channel and you got hit with a privacy violation? Something to their standards. Just imagine what an algorithm could do on this quantum computing with this computing power. Uh, you say one word, and all of a sudden you're on a target hit list because you could be you have biases. So they're looking for people with biases that are antithetical, or what do you want to call it, against what their narrative is teaching. They want to silence and censor you. This is what it's going to be used for. Promotes trust. AI governance helps build trust in AI technologies and solutions. Oh, yeah. Protect stakeholders. I like that word, stakeholders. AI governance helps protect the interest of stakeholders such as users and policymakers. Users and policymakers, what about me? Well, I'm not a stakeholder. The policy and the government officials and the policy and users and policymakers, users are the business corporations under organizations like this. Non-compliant can face up to 7% of their profits cost. Yeah, you're going to the interest of stakeholders are not the people. It is the business corporations. It is the oligarchy. It's the policymaker. It's the bureaucrats who are stakeholders, not us. Marxism 101. I mean, what else can I say? AI governance helps ensure AI operates with legal and ethical boundaries. Again, they define the ethics. How does AI governance work? It involves diverse stakeholders, including AI developers, users, policymakers, and ethicists. There's not oh boy, that's scary. You know, if you study history and and old mustache man, old Adolf and his little cronies, they had ethical standards too. How did that work out for Europe? How did it work out for Russia? How did it work out for the world? How many people died in that war, World War II? How did it work out? Their ethical standards of extermination of people who they did not like, who they demonized as vermin. Wow. Don't they demonize certain people as vermin here, like conservatives and Christians, and want to silence them? Yeah, what ethical standards are you talking about, dummy? Okay. The set standards for data handling, model explainability, and decision making processes. Yeah, they're going to have algorithms going to make your decisions for you. Monitors, evaluates, and updates machine learning algorithms. Well, isn't that lovely? They got algorithms now that'll oh you violated policy standards. You can't say that. You're looking. I know it's your lunch hour, human being, but you're looking at a shopping network while you're eating your sandwich, and that's company time, and we have to dock you 7% of your wages for that day because you're violating policy. We have an algorithm now. You can't do this, naughty, 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 on company computers anymore. We got you, and plus we'll tax you for that too. Okay. Decision making process monitors, evaluate, updates machine learning algorithms. In other words, algorithms, it'll make algorithms, its own algorithms. It'll almost be sentient. It'll be a step below becoming almost human. It could develop sentience, being sentient. Some of the robots are developing that now, and they shut them down. But they're going to try to use this thing to kind of shut that down. Right, right. I mean, demons and stuff can inhabit these things too, Monitors, evaluates learning algorithms, ensures that data sets are well trained and maintained. In other words, you can get rid of all the errors of a problem. You have a computer game, you run it through, and it gets out all the bugs automatically and creates more bugs it'll get rid of until you have a perfect computer game, okay? Really don't need programmers anymore. This thing will be self-programming. I mean, basically, I can type in a game. I want to type in a game with World War II aircraft carriers going up to modern day times of aircraft carriers and naval warfare. Put that, okay, AI, make it. This is what I want. Here's the list. And, all of a sudden you have a perfect game. You don't need anybody working for you. They just does it for you, folks. What do you do with all your leisure time? Hmm. Ensures that data sets are well trained, maintained. Blueprint for AI Bill of Rights released in 2020. I hadn't had time to read that yet. AI Governance Alliance Public Private Partnerships led by the World Economic Forum. Wow. AI Governance Alliance, a public private partnership led by the World Economic Forum. Oh my, oh my. What could possibly go wrong with that? I don't know. Do you? A leftist organization that wants to burn down the system and build it back better? Whose narratives and whose ethics are you going to be under? This new programming is going to be implemented. Okay. Again, as Mr. Solinsky says, I don't know how to say his name, and go like a park ago. There always is this fallacious belief it would not be the same here. Here, such things are impossible. Alas, all the evil of the 20th century is possible everywhere on earth. History repeats itself. What could go wrong? Oh my. Political scientist Vladimir Gulemin stated in his work, The Totalitarian State, the totalitarian movements that have arisen after the First World War are basically religious movements. Their aim is not only to change political and social institutions, but also remodel the nature of man and society. And now you have this global governance. And man, they can do whatever they want. They can shut down TV stations like in France, like they just did, because you're called a far right, and we have to shut you down because you are against the this amazing, most lovely uh, AI governance alliance formed by these wonderful people of Davos who are looking out for your best interest at heart. Man, boy, what could possibly go wrong? I don't know. A totalitarian society, as Rod Dreher says, live not by lies. A totalitarian society is one in which an ideology seeks to displace all prior traditions and institutions with the goal of bringing all aspects of society under control of that ideology. A totalitarian state is one that aspires to nothing less than defining and controlling of reality. And again, this guy here says, you know, is a religious movement who wants to control reality, redefining and defining and controlling reality. Uh, this is Gnosticism, Hermeticism, ancient pagan religions all rolled into one called Luciferianism. Goes right back to theosophy. I'm not going to be talking about theosophy. I've already covered a lot of that already. Well, I'm talking, that's the modern version of how to guide this. All these demons and fallen watchers and stuff have channeled this stuff to human agents, and they're implementing their plans even as we speak. Okay? They want to control and change reality. Ancient pagan religions do. So the question is, why would they want to do this? Well, they want to control everything. They are. I worked in criminal justice in my career days, and I worked in juvies. I worked in halfway juvies and halfway houses, which was an utter disaster. I never will do that again. And I work primary. I don't mind working with adults, in a halfway house situation. Had no problem with that. I busted quite a few people trying to smuggle stuff. Their family smuggling pot pipes and stuff in. They have clever ways of doing that, and I had to write up. Uh, we didn't give the stuff to the guy, but we had to make a point to notify the giver. We found this stuff. Please don't do it again, or you will be arrested. We try to be nice about it. Sometimes they have some clever ways. But, besides that, pretty much everyone in the halfway house was compliant, just wanted to do the job and get out of there. Not so much the juvies. Then I worked in the jail. Then I worked with treatment teams for sex offenders. So I, my career path was, I worked with psychopaths, various high level, mid road, and low level psychopaths. There's different terms for them in the psychology field. I'm just making it simple for you. And narcissist, high level, middle of the road, and covert narcissist. And I think the covert are the worst. Then the overt, you kind of see them. The middle of the road narcissists are just looking at themselves and going, "Aren't I pretty? Aren't I witty?" they're really just all about them. They're all strutting their stuff and making demands. If I'm going to visit you, I want a top of the line penthouse so I can, and I'm going to be there and make this movie because I'm the actor, the main actor. And so they're very in love with themselves and stuff. And there's in between, and then sociopaths. And I worked in the jail, and most people in the jails got caught because they did drugs, or they um, and they got in a car wreck or something, or they drank, and they're running their life, and they're a successful dentist or doctor, and they get into a car accident and they lose their license and their livelihood from it. and they're remorseful and they'll never do it again, and they'll probably stop drinking. That's primarily a lot of folks that are in the facilities who are normal, but people, common sense people, but because of bad decisions, they're put in this environment, they become institutionalized, and they become criminal minds in there. Bad company corrupts good habits. And for the other population in there is a sociopath, mostly, with a lot of narcissists in there and control freaks. And the psychopaths are usually ADSEG. What does ADSEG means? Administrative segregation. They wear these red jumpsuits and you lock them down 23 hours or 22 hours a day and give them 2 hours out. If they're bad up there, you get them 23 hours and 1 hour out of solitary confinement, basically what it is. And it's the only way to deal with them. And some high functioning ones, I had to deal with them. There is definitely a spirit behind it. Possession is the word. I kid you not. So, again, why would they do this? Well, the simple question is, the reason is they're crazy. They want to control everything. And the next question is, who are these people? Is there hardcore evidence of this besides the reality in which we are now experiencing? Yes, there is. And that's why I want to bring up this next thing on here. I'm going to bring up this slide here. It's called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. And it says this document represents a doctrine adopted by Policy Committee of the Bilderberg Group during its first known meeting in 1954. The following document, it was dated May 1979, was found July 7, 1986, in an IBM copier that had been purchased as a surplus sale. Now, largely what I'm saying here, folks, is that let me make myself a little bigger here so I can. You can make me a little bigger. Okay, so people debate this. Was this a real document? Is it a fake document? Is it part of a spy novel? And so all these rumors float around trying to discredit this. But what I found fascinating with this doctrine is they identify a certain type of people that are at the top of the food chain. And estimates from people who know this stuff better than I do, Gary Wayne, for one, would of the Genesis 6 conspiracy 1 and 2, as others as well, who have done far greater research than I have done on this. There's roughly 300 people or families that are involved, bloodline families. They're up there. They own it all. Certain families own it all, and they form alliances and groups, and they like to worship the same thing. So 300, maybe 500, possibly 1,000 of these people. We don't know how many, but they say the low estimate's 300 who are controlling everything. And they're using the art of Hegel synthesis. Hegel was a Hermeticist. And you want to create synthesis. You want a golden dream. So you're going to mix lead to try to get a God particle out so you can produce gold, a golden headed dream of world domination and control, a perfect world controlled by these people. Okay, that's who and what they are talking about. So with that, let's continue here. And so we don't know. You can say that this is a real document, or you can say that it's phony and it's not so, or whatever. But it is. But when we go through it, I'm going to go through it rather quickly here. Hold on, I got to find out where it is. Okay, there it is. It says the following document is taken from 2 sources. The first was acquired on a website. Okay, and listing it as a source. Listing as its source the book title, Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. Light Technology Publishing in 1991. The second source is a crudely copied booklet which does not contain copyright notice or the publisher's name, with the exception of a foreword, preface, and the main thing that was missing from this first source was illustrations. We began comparing the two and realized that the illustrations and the accompanying text, also missing from the first, made up a significant part of the document. This has now been restored by the lawful path, and so far as I know, the only internet copy available, complete with illustrations. We have no first-hand knowledge that this document is genuine. However, many of the concepts contained herein are certainly reasonable, important, and bear strong consideration. If anyone has additional information, you go to this path here. So they want you to do here, okay? Additional information includes confirmation that this policy was adapted by the international elites at the Bilderberger meeting in 1954. Again, that's all debated. And so it tells you in there, it gives you some disclaimers. You can say that this was fabricated, but you have some pretty interesting things here. It says, regarding the training manual, you may have detected that we had to block out the marginal notes made by some place that starts with a C, training center, but I can assure you the manual is authentic and was printed for the purpose of introducing to the selectee to the conspiracy. Okay, and then so the guy gives you his name. So the prefaces, conspiracy theories are nothing new to history. Plots to kill Caesar and to overthrow Rome abounded, for instance. However, it is seldom that concrete clues to such plots come to light and are generally known. Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, an introduction to programming manual, was uncovered by accident on July 7th, 1986. When an employee from Boeing Aircraft Company purchased a surplus IBM computer for scrap parts at a sale and discovered inside a detailed plan hatched by the embryonic days of the Cold War, which called for control of the masses through manipulation of industry, people's pastimes, education, and political leanings. It is called a quiet revolution, putting brother against brother and diverting the public's attention away from what's really going on. This document you're about to read is real. It is reprinted in its virgin form with diagrams, so forth, etc. So when we begin to look at it, you have the table of contents, and I'm not going to read the whole book, the whole thing to you. I want to. It says, Top Secret, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, Operations Research Technical Manual. Welcome aboard. This publication marks the 25th anniversary of the Third World War, called the Quiet War, being conducted as a subjective biological warfare fought with silent weapons. This book contains an introductory description of this war, its strategy, and its weaponry. Security. Okay? It is patently impossible to discuss social engineering or the automation of a society, i.e. engineering of social automation systems, silent weapons, on a national or worldwide scale without implying extensive objectives of social control and destruction of human life, slavery, and genocide. This manual is in itself an analog declaration of intent. Such writing must be secured from public scrutiny, however it got out. Otherwise, it might be recognized as technically a formal declaration of domestic war. Furthermore, any group of persons, I'll go down here. Solution to today's problems requires an approach which is ruthlessly candid with no agonizing over religious, moral, or cultural values. You have qualified for this project because your ability to look at human society with cold objectivity, yet analyze and discuss your observation and conclusions with others of similar intellectual capacity without the loss of discretion or humility. Such virtues are exercised in your own best interest. Do not deviate from them. You don't have to take anything from me. Really, you don't have to take any. I worked with psychopaths. That's a psychopath talking. That's the first thing I look at. A psychopath writing that. I'm not kidding you. That's exactly how I read that. Some nut job wrote this. And unfortunately, these people have a lot of money. They got to power by being psychopathic. I mean, they lack empathy. The high-functioning psychopath on a higher scale lacks empathy. The lower-end one can exhibit some sort of empathy, usually because they got caught or something. And they'll use it as a manipulative technique to make them the victim and you feel bad about that. Okay, something's not right there. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Um, go over here, and I'm going to go. Oh, got to go back to my slide. Okay, there. Okay, okay. Historical introduction and all that. We're going to go back and look at this. I'm going to scroll through this, get to the good stuff in a second here. This historical introduction. Silent weapon technology has evolved from operations research, OR, a strategic and technical methodology developed under military management in England during WW2, World War II. Its original purpose of operations research was to study the strategic and tactical problems of air and land defense with the objectives of an effective use of limited military resources against foreign enemies, logistics. Okay? And so they developed this through war, and they talked about it. And interesting, then in 1948, the transistor invented by J. Braden and Bratton and Shockley promised great expansion of the computer field by reducing space and power requirements. With these three inventions under the direction of those in positions of power, strongly suspected that it was possible for them to control the whole world with a push of a button. With a push of a button. All of a sudden, I'm thinking by a push of a button, and I get this Microsoft unveils this quantum processing. Wow, they have really got ahead of themselves, don't you think? I mean, good Lord, 8 billion people, and this is about managing our resources, and they can solve all the problems by this. Man alive, what could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Immediately, the Rockefeller Foundation got on the ground floor by making a 4-year grant to Harvard College. Wow, the Rockefeller Foundation. I just showed you one of the Rockefeller Foundation. It's here. Um, Scenarios for future development and international development. This is 2010 when this was written. I went over it earlier today. I'm just telling you. We'll go back to silent weapons here. And and I went through that thing with you what I could. Okay. The Rockefeller Foundation got on the ground floor by making 4-year grant with Harvard College, funding the Harvard Economic Research Project for the study of the structure of the American economy. 1 year later, 49, the United Nations Air Force joined in. Wow. And wow. And we wonder why the last 4 years we had woke generals. Just got rid of one from the, I think it's Air Force. Just got rid of one. Wow. A lot of these people are actual high level members, not somebody who wants to subscribe to the magazine that you can find in the bookstore called the Council of Foreign Relations. They changed their name to something else now. But yeah, they're all members of that. Interesting. So was General Willy Nilly Millie. Okay, so let's keep going with this here. In 1952, the grant period terminated and a high-level meeting of the elite was held to determine the next phase of social operations research. Okay. The engineering lasted half a decade of the 40s, and the new quiet war machine stood, so to speak, a sparkling gold-plated hardware on the showroom floor by 1954. With the creation of the Mauser in 1954, the promise of unlocking unlimited sources of fusion atomic energy from the heavy hydrogen and seawater and constant available with unlimited social power was a possibility only decades away. The combination was irresistible, okay? And in 1954, it was well recognized by those in positions of authority that it was only a matter of time, only a few decades, before the general public would be able to grasp and upset the cradle of power. For the very elements of the new silent weapon technology were as accessible for public utopia as they were providing for a private utopia. The issues of primary concern, that of dominance, revolved around the subject of energy science. So basically, what they're talking about, this energy and vibrations, it gets very, it's when I go over, I'm not going to go over all that. It is very um, reminiscence of theosophies vibrations, but they use electricians diagrams and circuitry to show that that you that that the elites become the praxis. What's the praxis? Okay, I want to start talking like a college professor. Praxis, the community organizers, the the champions. Okay, so you becomes the praxis for social change because you want society to go a certain way, and you got to control them. They don't know that you are actually against them, but you come across as their friend. It's silent weapons for quiet wars, and they want to destroy your economy, destroy who you are as a people, want to erase your national heritage, and put you in a new order of the age. Okay, the evidence of this has been like I showed you before. It's in the back of the dollar bill, and so pretty much those who disseminate the all-seeing eye of Lucifer's knowledge are the praxis. And the devils that favor their undertaking to use the bricks below initiate them to become the new order of the age. That's a whole bit of this stuff. And so they use what is known as silent weapons, propaganda, and I'll show you what it is here. So I'm not going to go through all the energy stuff because it'll bog you down with it. It says energy is recognized as the key to all activity on Earth. Natural science is the study of sources of control of natural energy. Social science, theoretically expressed as economics, is the study of the source of control of social energy, social vibrations. Okay, both are the bookkeeping systems mathematics. Therefore, mathematics is the primary energy science, and the bookkeeper can be the king if the public be kept ignorant of the methodology of bookkeeping. Again. It's talking like a narcissist. They are love to keep meticulous books. They'll write down their plans just like a narcissist does. But these people are more detailed, more mathematically. Ted Bundy was a psychopath, murderer, okay? And he would plan his thing in his head, and fantasize, and then he would write out a plan how he was going to do it. Okay? That's pretty much the idea here. They're looking at vibrations, social interactions. Mom likes her kids, take kid away, hurt kid, mom punish, will go after you, and a mother bear is going to go after her and defend her cub to the death. So how can we destroy motherhood so she doesn't protect the children from the elite who want to take them away from the family to re-educate them and right human relations, social control, and group control? So they have to destroy the family. So quiet weapons for silent wars involves a process of how to do that without you even being aware of it. So it goes into great lengths telling you how this goes about by using energy science. Isn't that interesting? Let me bring, and both are bookkeeping systems, mathematics, primary energy sources. All science is merely a means to an end. The means is knowledge. Again, you have Gnosticism, Hermeticism about secret knowledge. The end is control. Beyond this remains only an issue: who will be the beneficiary? Control. Again, this is the the occult overtones, if you know what you're looking for. In the rays of initiation, the first thing is the will to achieve power at all costs. The end is control. How do you control the world? You tell them you're doing this out of love. It's actually the love of the psychopath to keep his control and his paradise, and you are his playthings. But you don't tell you that. And you begin, when you more you know about stuff, the more you see this into knowledge, gnosis, Gnosticism. I'm talking about not all kinds of knowledge, but certain type of knowledge, secret knowledge, unlock the mysteries of the universe so you can control it all. Hermeticism, secret knowledge too involved in there. The end is control, the will to achieve power by deceiving people. You're doing it for their best interest because you love them, to create a brave new world where everybody's one spirit, one blood, depending on if you're a fascist or Marxist or whatever. This is a religious system. I'm reading Luciferianism in here. I'm telling you, if you're smart, you'll see it. You'll see it there. And then here, this is a very interesting part here. It says here, in 1954, this issue was primary concern. Who will be the beneficiary? Although the so-called moral issues were raised in view of the law of natural selection, it was agreed that a nation or a world of people who will not use their intelligence are no better than animals who do not have intelligence. Such people are beasts of burden and stakes on the table by choice and consent. Consequently, the interest of future world order, peace, tranquility, it was decided to privately wage a quiet war against the American public with the ultimate objective of permanently shifting the natural and social energy of wealth of the undisciplined and irresponsible many into the hands of the self-disciplined, responsible, worthy few. In order to implement this objective, it was necessary to create, secure, and apply new weapons which, as it turned out, were a class of weapons so subtle, so sophisticated in their principle of operation and public appearance as to earn themselves the name silence weapons. Okay, in order to achieve a totally predictable economy, low-class elements of society must be brought under total control, must be housebroken, trained, and assigned a yoke and long-term social duties from a very early age before they have opportunity to question the propriety of the matter. To achieve such conformity, the lower-class family unit must be disintegrated by a process of increasing preoccupation of the parents and the establishment of a government-operated daycare centers for the occupational orphaned children. You see that happening, huh? This is creepy, isn't it? The quality of education given to the lower classes must be of the poorest sort, so that the mote of ignorance isolating the inferior class from the superior class is and remains incomprehensible to the inferior class. That's you and I, folks. With such initial handicap, even bright lower class individuals have little, if any, hope of excreting themselves from the assigned lot in life. This form of slavery is essential to maintain some measure of social order, peace, and tranquility, love, for the ruling upper class. Not so much for you, serf. Not at all, man. Serf. You better obey. We want the destruction of the family, the social order. They planned a war. Who are these elites? Mr. Rockefeller name is mentioned. You have the what was that here? I know this organization here called the WEF, AI Governance Alliance, who wants to prepare for new regulations according to their ethics and AI governance and all that stuff. Wow, and they have this thing, they want to solve the population problem and all the food issues. Man, it's quite scary, isn't it? These people meet at the Groovy Grove where the redwoods flow in California. Certain time of the year, they meet at the Bohemian Club in San Francisco. They meet on Epstein's Island. They meet everywhere, anywhere they can. In the back rooms, they have spirit cooking ceremonies like John Podesta asked Hillary. Are you coming to the spirit cooking ceremony, Hillary? Sure. Here's some body fluids for it. Okay, make you sick, I'm sorry. But, that's who we're talking about here. Okay? Quiet weapons for silent wars. Very Luciferian. Okay? Descriptive introduction of silent weapons. Everything that is expected from an ordinary weapon is expected from a silent weapon by its creators, but only in its own manner and functioning. It shoots situations instead of bullets. propelled by data processing instead of chemical reaction explosions, originating from bits of data instead of grains of gunpowder, from a computer instead of a gun, operated by a computer programmer instead of a marksman, under the orders of a banking magnate instead of a military general. It shoots situations instead of bullets. Situations instead of bullets, folks. Whoops, I forgot to put that on the screen. It shoots situations instead of bullets. Okay? This is critical systems theory, critical Marxism. Okay, I say you have a business and you have maybe 300 or 400 employees, and I come in because I'm a praxist, I'm a community organizer, and I know, and I know that there's some systemic racism there, because all the people you have, the vast majority of, is an overabundance of white people. How dare you have this overabundance? You are systemic racist. So we shoot situations, arguments. And so you have to hire people that are more unqualified and make a quota for social justice and prove that you love humanity. You must have group love. So we're doing this because we have to solve racism. So therefore, you're racist because you have, well, I mean, say you're in Africa and the vast majority of your employees are a certain color, dark skin color. You are a racist. So you got to have other races in there. But you look around and there's, in our country, man, there is no man. I mean, we are the majority population. I can't find these people. Well, the WEF will just fly them there for you from China, whatever. Um, that's the idea. Shoot situations. Male dominance, the patriarchy. Let's destroy the patriarchy of the family so the man is a wimp. Let's exalt feminism to the degree that the woman is superwoman, that she can leap tall buildings in a single bound and she can beat up big tall guys and punch them out. But a big tall guy thinks he's a woman playing sports is going to take the trophies away from women, which throws their entire narrative in the trash can. Shoot situations instead of bullets, propelled by data processing instead of chemical reaction. Wow. Remember this? Data processing. You see why AI governance is important to these people? Operating from bits of data, now to cubics, instead of grains of gunpowder, from a computer instead of a gun, operated by a computer program instead of a marksman, under the orders of a banking magnate instead of a military general. In other words, the top elites who control the finances, who founded philanthropic organizations and foundations in order to launder money so they can implement policies to destroy society and blind people that they want to do this, so they want to make you a slave. So Satan's slaves, they're Satan's slaves, they're Luciferians, and they want to make slaves out of you. It makes no obvious explosive noises, causes no obvious physical or mental injuries, and does not obviously interfere with anyone's social life. How nice. Yet it makes unmistakable noise, causes unmistakable physical and mental damage, you got that right, unmistakably interferes with daily social life, unmistakable to the trained observer, one who knows what to look for. Oh, I went social work field. I thought social work was going to be helping people, and helping people become better their life. No, I found out I have to be a community organizer, organizing the community for social change, as was the slogan back in the day. You are the praxis of the cutting edge ones who will change society for the better. You have to Go to an organization, look at its systems, and say, okay, you have too many of this skin color. You are systemically racist. You created all these problems, and we have to change history too. We have to destroy you as a human being. We have to destroy your family, destroy your national heritage, and reshape you and build you in the mold that you're easily controlled and tracked and monitored and surveilled. You have to be housebroken to accept group love, group conformity, and group control. That's the theosophy way, the Luciferian way. Everything begins to make sense if you know what to look for. And so this, um, hey, hey, it gets better. It actually gets worse, but it gets better as we go along here. Let's continue here. Um, The public cannot comprehend this weapon, therefore cannot believe that they are being attacked and subdued by a weapon. So what did Alexander uh, Sloninsky said? There are always this fallacious belief that it would not be the same here. Here, such things are impossible. Alas, all the evil of the 20th century is possible everywhere on earth. Public cannot comprehend this weapon, therefore they cannot believe that they are being attacked and subdued by weapons. Wait till I tell you what some of these weapons are. The public might instinctively feel that something is wrong. Did you feel that the last 4 years something was wrong? That, but that is because of the technical nature of the silent weapon. They cannot express their feelings in a rational way. No, you silence us because we're not meeting your narrative. I mean, your ethical standards. Oh, I got that. Okay. Or handle problems with intelligence. They count on you to argue right back so they can box you in a corner. In social work, we're trained to do that. In my class, at least, agents of social change. Oh, the praxis. I'll never forget that. And anyway, therefore, they do not know how to cry for help and do not know how to associate with others to defend themselves against it. In other words, I'm trying to remember this person. I think this is the person. Okay. No, it's this one. It's the process of brainwashing. This is what silent weapons are. This is what Anna Stein, Terror, Love, and Brainwashing mentioned in her book. Process of brainwashing rests on the creation of stress or threat with no escape other than the compliance to the apparent safe haven of the totalitarian regime and group. Or let's rephrase that, to the safe haven of the narcissist, the safe haven of the psychopath and their groups. In other words, you're going crazy. This is what they do. She continues in her book, Terror, Love, and Brainwashing. The alternation of love and fear within an isolating environment results in disassociated, loyal, and deployable follower who can now be instructed to act in the interest of the leader rather than in his or own survival interest. In other words, this is the classic. Um, this is the classic. How do I say it? This is the classic push pull. They push you away, pull you in until you're frantic. You need them. Then at least they make you believe it through their craziness, and then it goes on. She explains in her book Terror, Love, and Brainwashing, as in the Stockholm syndrome, thus does the abuser become the perceived safe haven, a person or an entity to whom one can turn to for help, mercy, forgiveness, and comfort. This is silent weapons and quiet wars. This is the same principle as being unleashed. Push, pull. So you look at your abuser as the source of everything. Some of you who've been in narcissistic relationships can relate to exactly what I'm saying. Or you grew up in a psychopathic family or something. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The push-pull thing drives you to mental anguish, and you just want to comply with the abuser so you can find some peace. This is the silent weapons for quiet war routine. And of course, I want to just throw this out there. Barry Goldwater stated, I think in the late 60s, he said this: those who seek absolute power, even though they seek to do what they regard as good are simply demanding the right to enforce their own version of heaven on earth. Let me remind you, they are the very ones who always create the most hellish tyrannies. Absolute power does corrupt, and those who seek it must be suspect and must be opposed. So they do it in the name of love. It's all about love. It's the second ray of initiation. It's all about love. We're using this energy, the scientific electrical vibration in the universe. We'll project love and unity. We'll love you, but then they pull you in and they push you away to housebreak you. So you rely on them and them alone for all your needs. Sounds like the Democratic Party and the progressive parties and liberal parties all over the world, doesn't it? The public might, they feel uneasy, but they can't cry for help because, as she says, it's a Stockholm syndrome. The abuser becomes a perceived safe haven where they can get mercy, help, and comfort, peace and safety. When they say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes. The push-pull thing is even described within the pages of Scripture. Let's continue. Oops, wrong thing. When a silent weapon is applied gradually, the public adjusts, adapts to its presence, and learns to tolerate its encroachment on their lives until the pressure, psychological, viva, economic, becomes too great. They crack up. Therefore, the silent weapons is a type of biological warfare in the mind, basically attacks the vitality, options, and mobility of the individuals of a society by knowing and understanding, manipulating, attacking their sources of natural social energy, where they get your common sense, and their physical, mental, and emotional strengths and weaknesses. So the silent weapons is a biological warfare. It's actually mental biological. Attacks the brain psychologically, your vitality, options, and mobility of the individuals of a society. Okay, so the mobility is attacked. Wow, I'm reminded of 15-minute cities. Huh. Limit your mobility. Wow, yeah, 15-minute cities. Wow. I forgot. This is all conspiratorial theory. It's not true. How could it possibly be true? How could these people do this? Well, they're rich as all get out, and they have foundations and philanthropic thing where the rich people can donate and have pools of money they can pocket to put um, uh, like-minded people who elect criminals out on the streets as their DAs in their cities and elect governors who are just as wacky as they are to implement strange policies to tear down the system. The pressure becomes so great you crack up. You know, and the beatings will stop until you comply. We need to housebreak you. Okay? Theoretical introduction. Give me control over a nation's currency, and I care not who makes its laws. That's Mr. Amschel Rothschild. Okay, I won't get into all that. I'm going to scroll down. I'm not going to bother with all that. Okay, and I'm not going to talk about how to conductors and breakthrough of energy and all this stuff. Economics, I'm not going to talk about that. But I will say this about their economic model. Um, Marxism is all about what? Originally, it's about uh, controlling the means of economic production. Marxism has evolved into now the, the economic, social, cultural production of a society. And so this model is what they want. It's a blend of fascism and Marxism, the CCP model. How should I say this? What should I even say it? I'm just questioning. Um, well, David Rockefeller and this guy named Henry Kissinger back in the 60s decided, let's go over, I think it was 60s, let's go over to China and just talk to the Chinese and tell them, because they're collapsing. Mao's dead, and their system is collapsing. So we can come over and let's offer them a carrot. If you have us come in there and you have cheap or slave labor, we can move all our factories and means of production over to you. You can get a cut of this because you have to mix a little fascist capitalism to save communism so you don't run out of money. we like Mao's cultural revolution. You got rid of 60 million people out of your country. So, just think what you could do to America, to 60 million people who voted for a certain way. Could be used. I mean, I'm just digress here. That's modernizing it. But, back then they did that. So Nixon came along and opened up China. And so slowly, without you knowing it, all the means of production go to China, not to Canada, not to Mexico, to China. When Trump was number 45 in his first term, we had these blockchain things happen. You looked and you couldn't find, it was very difficult to find a lot of products because a lot of these products were made in China. And so by slave labor, or cheap labor with not there's no EPA involved, so they can pollute that country to the hilt. They can, if a textile factory burns down and kills everybody in it, like it did in the turn of 1800s to the 1900 time frame in New York City or Chicago, textile factories would burn, and hundreds of women and children died in the flames. Who cares about a little collateral damage, because they're for the betterment. They're ruthless. They don't have empathy. Nothing to them. So they go to China and let that happen over there. Then they can control the Marxist government and have the Marxists work for them, but to make this utopia, because these people generally want a spiritual communism blended with a fascism, so they can maintain the means of economic production by having a touch of controlled capitalism in it. This is what silent weapons are about. Let's continue. Let me shrink it so I can continue. And I'm not going to get into all the nuances of the economic engine and all that. I just really briefly tried to, not going to get into that. And here's some of the diagrams I'm talking about. They do about the industry, the circuitry, on the formulas. I look at these, 1 equals a 1, 2. Okay, that's 1. So I'm going to look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. So you have 1, 11, 12, 13. Add those up and you get the number 9. Okay. You have 2, 2, 1, 5, 9. And then you have 9, 11, and let's see, 11 and 11, and 5 is 16. Put 1 in it, you have 7. This is if you know what you're looking at, folks, this is Chaldean numerology, reducing it to the last number to manipulate what you want for this energy to happen. I'm not going to get into that. I just they talks about all this, raw materials, banking, loaning. In other words, you use all this to control everything to get what you want. They did it with China, and this is what it's all about. So here, I want to get here. It says the social welfare program is nothing more than an open-ended credit balance system which creates a false capital industry to give non-productive people a roof over their heads and food in their stomachs. This can be useful, however, because the recipients become state property in return for the gift, a standing army for the elite who pays the piper picks the tune. He who pays the piper picks the tune. So what does all that mean? It is very simple. Let me try to explain what that means. You pick the piper, plays the no, he who pays the piper picks the tune. So you want a bunch of people on the dole to use them as victims to have your foundations go help fix in order to destroy the system, destroy the family, impoverish people like you're trying to solve it. They fool people. So you're going to, non-productive people are leeches, and they'll bleed the economic system down and break the economic system because they want to destroy the economy of a country so they can come in and control it. So they'll use social welfare programs for that purpose. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what they're saying. Those who get hooked on economic drug must go to the elite for a fix. In this, the method of introducing large amounts of stabilized capacities is by borrowing on the future credit of the world. This is the fourth law of motion, onset, and consists of performing an action and leaving the system before the reflected reaction returns to the point of action, a delayed reaction. In other words, I won't get into all that, but basically what it's saying is I'm going to put this up here, scroll up a little bit. So what it's saying here is that you want to collapse the system, and that's what you're going to do. You want to collapse it, and so, but you want to do it in a slow process without anybody getting the wiser of it. Since most of the general public will not exercise restraint, there are only two alternatives to reduce economic inductance of the system. These people think you and I are a bunch of cretins who are just doing too much consuming. And if we can get rid of those people, and everything, and you will be, make it a little bigger, and you will be, a hindrance to their plans. And so you have to reduce the consuming. This is called degrowth. The degrowth communist model. This was refined by the Cultural Revolution in Mao's China. It was a degrowth movement to bring everybody equity to equal levels of poverty and subsistence. So you're begging for food from your masters. And since there's only two alternatives to reduce the economic inductance of the system, to transfer the wealth from the middle class and poorer classes in the hands of the elite, because they know how to spend your money better than you do. They have no sympathy, no empathy for you. It says, let the population bulge each other to death in war, which only result in total destruction of the living on earth, or take control of the world by use of economic silent weapons in the form of quiet warfare to reduce the economic inductance of the world to a safe level by the process of benevolent slavery and genocide. Wow. The latter option has been taken as the obviously better option. Yeah, at this point, it should be crystal clear to the reader why absolute secrecy about silent weapons is necessary. The general public refuses to improve its own mentality and its faith in its fellow man. There's the second ray of initiation. Stop in the name of love. We're doing this because we love you. We're making you suffer because we love you. We want you to have group love, group conformity. You're playthings. Stop in the name of love. I can't sing worth a hill of beans. So I'm not going to be on American Idol or whatever that show is. But wow. And wow, that's all I got to say. To a safe level by the process of benevolent slavery and genocide. Well, you might as well just have a war and do it that way. No, let's do it silently. Let's have these little buildings where where parents can make plans, and they can eliminate the dregs of society easy because they'll plant these places, that planning in certain communities to reduce them. After all, they are what we have a supercomputer now. We have 8 billion people. Requires new innovations to reverse the climate problems, address food insecurity, because we keep going. Everybody's going to die because there'll be no food. Really, really. I think 8 billion people could fit in Africa, in the habitable parts of Africa, and still have space to spare, if you want to know the truth. But don't want to tell you the truth. And there's ways and means by the free market system to solve these problems in a rational, common sense way. But they don't want that. They want is power and control. It's dominance. Only they have the right to rule because they're successful. They stomped on people's feelings. They crushed the opposition. They have no empathy whatsoever for the common person. So they want to a loving slavery and genocide if you don't comply, to solve climate issues and poverty. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Hope I'm not scaring you too much. And it goes the electric circuits. I look at that. I go, I don't know the math formulas here. I recognize circuitry, and I can see those are. I know what those are and stuff. I can read this stuff on my diagram in my furnace. If you want to know the truth, capacitors, resistors, and stuff. I won't get into all that. But they have all these formulas, and again, they have the formulas. You do the reducing method: 1, 1, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, 7, 10, 11, then 2, okay, then you have 2, and then 3, 4. I won't get into all that. I won't get into all that. Just interesting, isn't it? The final bill of goods, and they have these are mathematical coefficients they use in economics as well. I won't get into all that, as well as electronics. I'm just going to keep going here because this gets really boring read. Introduction of economic shock testing. Okay, economic shock testing. Let me try to tell you economic shock testing. Let the prices and total sales of commodities be given in symbolism form. It tells you the same. Alcoholic beverages, beef, coffee, gasoline, sugar, tobacco, unknown balance. So you go up to the formulas, and what you're doing here is let's decrease the alcoholic prices of alcoholic beverages, increase and inflate beef, coffee, gasoline, sugar, and we're going to reduce the price of tobacco. And we're going to have inflation. So we're going to shock test and see what people will do. And shock testing, through inflation, I'm just scrolling down here, through the use of inflation, what will happen? They gain, inflation is like a invisible tax on all humanity. Instead of raising taxes, they create inflation. And they foot you with the bill. Right now, it's like $350,000 per person, tax-paying person in the United States. That's what we owe the government in order to cover their spending. So we can get rid of the $32 trillion in debt or something like that, or the 2 point something 7, whatever it is, whatever we're in debt for right now. It's a astronomical number that makes no sense. So that's what they do. So the wealth is transferred to them, so they have the power, you don't. The idea is to transfer the power to the powerful oligarchies who control the government, food production, create your farms, your bug plants, and you have everything planned for the slaves. So you have slaves of Satan who want to make slaves of the rest of the world. They're slaves. Economic amplifiers are active components of economic engineering. The basic characteristic of any amplifier, mechanical, electrical, or economic, is that it receives an input, controls signals, delivers energy from its independent energy source to a specific output terminal in a predictable relationship to that input and control signal. The simplest form of economic amplifier is a device called advertising. I bet you didn't know that. Neither did I until I read this. So the economic amplifier. If a person is spoken to by a TV advertiser as if he were a 12-year-old, then due to suggestibility, he will, with certain probability, respond or react to that suggestion. They have a calculation of how many people will respond. He'll reach into his the 12-year-old listening, who's this 50-year-old, whatever, who's a 12-year-old mind, will reach into his economic reservoir and deliver its energy to buy the product on impulse when he passes it in the store. Okay, advertising. So they're abusing the idea of advertising to bankrupt you. Economic amplifiers fall into classes called strategies. And in comparison with economic electronic amplifier, specific internal functions of economic amplifier, blah, 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 blah. I won't get into all that. I'm going to go over here. And basically what they're talking about, and I'm going to get to where I want to go and stop there. I just can't remember where it is because we're getting down to the good stuff here. I'll go here. Uh, Outputs create control situations. Okay, I'll stop there for a second and talk. So what this is saying, this is based upon what is known as, it's a form of Keynesian economics. It's tax and spend in order to transfer the wealth into the hands of the elite. This was derived by Walter Funk. He was an ardent Nazi in Germany. The former economic advisor to Hitler in the 30s was another guy, I can't remember his name, who did not want to do the tax and spend method uh, because Hitler needed lots of money to make armaments, so you tax and spend. So the idea was tax and spend, and so you do advertising and propaganda, and you manipulate the masses to give their pots or pans for the war effort. So you do this stuff, and that's what they were doing. And so the idea of the Walter Funk plan was to transfer the wealth of conquered territories now into the hands of the Nazis. In other words, they wanted to create a one world Reichsmark, a one world currency. So all the world's currency goes into one big pot, so you maintain it by taxing and spending, and it transfers all the wealth into the hands of those in charge. And then you have the economic amplifier needed, because you will own nothing and you will be happy about it. We make the super AI computer, so this will now make your computer game for you. We don't need computer programs. You have a lot of free time in your 15-minute city, surf. We'll supply your food. We control it all, and you do what we say. We want your kids to go to this island out there in the Pacific somewhere. We don't want you married. We need to reduce the population. This smart city needs to go. X amount of people need to be methodically culled in order to solve poverty and climate conditions that the elites created. That's the name of the game. So shortlist outputs. Allocates, determines opportunities, destroys opportunities, controls the economic environmental, controls availability, controls capital, controls bank rights, controls inflation of the currency, controls possession of property, transfer personal property. Marxism is, personal property has to be destroyed. So they take possession of it. Controls manufacturing, controls advertising, controls media contact, controls material available for TV viewing, disengages attention from real issues, engages emotions, creates disorder, chaos, and insanity. Wow. I'm reading Theosophy. I'm reading the occult world. I'm reading Luciferianism in here. Creates disorder, chaos, and insanity. Controls design of more probing tax forms. Control surveillance. They want a surveillance state. Have you noticed that, folks? Go into a store, they got you, smile, you're no longer on candid camera. Controls the storage of information. Yeah, they got that supercomputer coming up. Develops psychological analysis and profiles of individuals. Yeah, they want your data collection, man. They want to control you. Controls legal functions. Repeat of 15. Controls payment. Controls legal functions. Okay? That means they change laws. They use the law lawfully, then they use the law to break the law. That's why it's repeat of 15. Okay. And 1 plus 5 equals 6, and I think that's the number for Venus, and the triple goddess number, of the Artemis, Diana, is that entity. I won't get into that. Control legal functions. Okay, controls sociological factors, controls health options, preys on weakness, cripples strength, leeches wealth and substance. How do they accomplish this? Do this? Keep the public ignorant. How do you? To get this, you give them less public organization. In other words, you make it impossible for them to organize. You really do. You make it so impossible for them to realize what's going on. You have some sort of thing that happened in 2020, so you can't get organized. You can't talk to each other. Maintains access control point for feedback. The required reaction to outputs, prices, sales, whatever. Okay. Censorship grows in there. Create preoccupation to lower your defense. Attack the family unit. Control the education of the young. That's how you do that. And that control of the education of the young goes back to the ancient pagan religions of the young gods taking over the old gods because, they're outdated. They always use the youth. Okay? Give less cash and more credit and doles. And why? To get this, you make them more self-indulgent. You give them more data, more internet. Okay? They didn't have internet back then, but they do now. Attack the privacy of the church. Destroy faith in this sort of government. Attack the privacy of the church. Attack the privacy of the church. I don't know if I have that. Do I have that slide? I don't know if I have that slide. Let me see if I have that slide. I don't know if I have it or not. View extra large icons. I don't think I have it in this slide box. I don't know if this is it. I can't read it too good, but let's see if this is it. Nope. Yes. It's this Luciferianism. It's not what I was looking for, but it tells about destroying Christianity, but I won't get into it. But anyway, you wanted to destroy religion, attack the privacy of the church, destroy faith in this sort of government. You have reaction. You control both sides. One side super legalistic. One side says this doesn't exist. The other side overemphasizes occult works, bring them into the church, and you destroy faith in the church through flakiness, and you exalt that. You entice the leaders to sin. You do works. You put your people in there to make it happen. Okay, social conformity. You got to make social conformity. How? Computer programming simplicity. So way before the computers came online, like they are now, they're going to use computer programming, phones. I use the phone, and I don't like to use it sometime, but I don't use it as much as I did before. Okay, I put it down. I turn it off. I don't even look at it at night unless I want to watch something on TV because my wife is gone. I don't have anyone to talk to, and it's pretty lonely in the house without your wife. So, but anyway, some things can be good, some things can be bad, okay, for technology. Okay. So they're telling you how to do this. Stabilize the consent. That's what they want to do. Do this to simplicity coefficients. You just create all kinds of tighten control of variables, simpler computer input data, greater predictability. Establish boundary conditions, problem simplicity, solutions of differential. I won't get into all that. The thing I'm going to look at is proper timing. So less data shift and blurring. In other words, you create a computer system where you have less data shift and blurring, so you can control and create it, and it will correct its own errors. That's what they're talking about. And why they do that? To maximize control and produce a minimum resistance to control, because they use this remarkable thing they've been dreaming of. They called it back then the world brain from George Orwell, but it's this device. The quantum processor, topological qubits. to control and solve all the world's problems. Okay? Maximize control. You reduce the minimum resistance of control, and I'll show you how, what they're doing it. Collapse of currency. Destroy the faith of the American people in each other. Wow. You're telling me they want to have the American people destroy faith in each other? Absolutely. Didn't you notice that's what happened in the last 4 years, and before that, the 8 years with Obama, and 4 years of Bush? I mean, did you realize that this was going on? Destroy your national heritage. Diversion of primary strategy. Experience has prevent that the simplest method of securing silent weapons and gaining control of the public is to keep the public undisciplined, ignorant of the basic systems, principles on one hand, while keeping them confused, disorganized, and distracted with matters of no real importance on the other hand. This is achieved by disengaging their minds, sabotaging their mental activities, providing a low-quality program of public education and providing a low-quality program of public education in mathematics, logic, systems design, and economics, and discouraging technical creativity. Have the AI do it for you, okay? Engaging their emotion, increasing their self-indulgence and their indulgence in emotional and physical activities by unrelenting emotional affrontations, attack, mental and emotional rape by the way of constant barrage of sex, violence, and wars in the media, especially the TV and in newspapers, now on the internet, giving them what they desire in excess, junk food for thought, and depriving them of what they really need. Next is rewriting history and law and subjecting the public to deviant creation, thus being able to shift their thinking from personal needs to highly fabricated outside priorities. All those people who want to dress like women, you are the oppressor. You're not accepting them. You're not loving. You have to accept the deviant creation and want them to be more loving. Junk food for thought, unrelenting emotional rape. Wow. Barrage of sex, violence. You don't know why pornography is so prevalent? I can't stand pornography. I can't. I mean, I won't get into that. How it destroys families, marriages, everything else. Drugs, alcohol. Rewriting history and law and subjecting the public to deviant creation. If you don't accept the androgynous, they'll sue you. You don't allow men and women's bathrooms, you are the oppressor. You must suffer. Interesting. These preclude their interest in discovery of silent weapons and of social automation technology, making you compliant, a living little robot easily tracked, controlled, and monitored. Okay. The general rule is that there is profit in confusion, and more confusion, the more profit. Therefore, the best approach is to create problems and then offer solutions. Problem, reaction, solution. This Hegel's dialectic. Synthesis, the two-pillared system, or the three-pillared system, more accurately put. The two-pillar system, you have judgment, harshness on one end, and mercy and truth, and you want to create synthesis and through compromise. And it's their solutions they're offering. Media, diversion summary. Media, keep the adult public attention diverted away from real social issues. Have you noticed the news lately? And captivated by matters of no real importance. Have you noticed the shows they have on TV? Schools, keep the young public ignorant of real mathematics, real economics, real law, and real history. teach them um, diversity, equity, and inclusion, social, environmental, and governance scores. Teach them diversity. Don't teach them mathematics. Don't teach them critical thinking. They might see that you're pulling the wool over their eyes. And don't teach them history, because you might realize that you're an American and you came through a revolution against the world's elites at that time and established a government with checks and balances to prevent this from happening. It's in our American DNA blood to go after tyrants. Oh, America's a bad country. So is every country in the planet. Had slaves. Don't give me that crap. Excuse my language. I get mad sometimes. Every nation, every tribe on the planet, sometime in their history, had slavery. Okay? I don't want to offend anybody, but read what happened between the Lakota and I think it was the Pawnee at Massacre Canyon. It's a prime example. I can on the reservations they have oral stories and traditions that go back how the warring tribes fight each other before the white people ever showed up. And I won't talk about what they did. It's not cool. Every tribe, nation, kindred, and tongue has blood on their hand, especially the Marxists. So they want to destroy your history by exemplifying your mistakes so you feel guilty and your brow beat. And so what? You get the Stockholm syndrome. Thus does the abuser become the perceived safe haven, a person or entity to whom one can turn to help, mercy, forgiveness, and comfort. Fat chance for me. That's what it's about, folks. Work, keep public busy with no time to think, back on the farm with the other animals. They view you and I as animals. Noah Harari. What does Noah Harari think about us? We are animals. We are hackable animals. That is psychopathic. There's no emotion. You're a human being? No, you are an animal. We must treat you like an animal. Let's get the good doctor, Fauci, who the Fauci knows best. He likes to help beagles find their beaglehood. You're just an animal to be experimented on and to use for the elite. We'll put you in your mouse cage. I mean, your controlled 15-minute city stuff. We'll feed you bug burgers. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. We'll put metaverse goggles on you in your little apartment that you can't leave, so you don't go too crazy. And you're what good are you? Well, you're good to grow some vegetables for us. The rest of the population, not so much. We do it out of love for the humanity. We teach your kids to love the deviant creation because you're the oppressor. We make them feel guilty, so you run to them and to the elite to get your significance and importance, not that mythical sky god in the sky, as Noah Harari would say, as I once said too, unfortunately. If you're not getting mad, I don't know what will make you mad. We're living in this, right? Keep the public entertained below the 6th grade level. Wow, that describes the 6th grade level. Then doesn't that describe what goes on in halftime shows and sports arenas? Halftime shows, stuff like that. Keep you below a 6th grade level, and the entertainment. They have crude, crass, potty jokes, and there's nothing real funny about it. Keep these sitcoms going that are absolutely cutting each other down. All that stuff. Okay. Consent, the primary victory. The silent weapon system operates upon data obtained from a docile public by legal, but not always lawful force. Wow. I mean, oh, I forgot to put it on the screen, dummy. I forgot to put that on the screen. Let me go back, show you so you can see it. They want to diversion summary. Schools keep the public keep you ignorant, the public entertained, but below a sixth grade level. Keep the public busy with no time to think. You put you back on the farm with the other animals, like Noah Harari said. Consent, the primary victory. A silent weapons operates upon the data obtained from a docile public by legal, but not always lawful force. Much information is made available to silent weapon systems and programmers through the IRS. See studies in the structure of American economy for the IRS source list. Wow. Isn't that interesting? I just find it interesting, Data obtained from a docile public by legal but not always lawful force. In the book of Daniel, it talks about the Antichrist will change seasons, laws, seasons and stuff, calendar systems, all kinds of things he's going to change. Spirit of Antichrist right here, baby. That's all I got to say. You want to obtain data on you so they can control you, blackmail you if they need to, or, how did she say that again? Alexander Stein, love, terror, brainwashing. The alternation of love and fear within an isolating environment, they want to isolate you, results in a disassociated, loyal, and deployable follower who can now be instructed to act in the interest of the leader rather than his or her own survival interest. And she goes on, it's the Stockholm Syndrome. Thus does the abuser become perceived as a safe haven, a person or any entity to whom one can turn to for mercy, comfort, and forgiveness. Kind of flipped the words around there a bit for my dyslexic mind, but at least I'm original. Okay. This information consists of enforced delivery of a well-organized data contained in federal state tax forms collected, assembled, and submitted by slave labor provided by taxpayer and employers. Furthermore, the number of such forms submitted to the IRS is a useful indicator of public consent and an important factor of strategic decision-making. Other data sources are given on the short list of inputs. Okay? So what they're doing with all this data is seeing how well you're controlled, okay? And they give you all these forms to fill out, okay? They're collecting data on you for the supercomputer of the future they want to build. Now we're on the threshold of that, AI governance and the slaves of Satan want to make slaves of you, okay? That's basically what it comes to. Constant coefficients, numerical feedback indicating victory status. They want to, okay, you're making less money. You're struggling, so we'll see the victory level. Psychological basis, when the government is able to collect taxes, seize private property without just compensation, it is an indication that the public is ripe for surrender and is consenting to the enslavement and legal encroachment. A good and easily quantified indicator of the harvest time and number of public citizens who pay income tax, despite an obvious lack of reciprocal or honest service from the government. Wow. What did Doge just release here? What did Doge just release? Finding all this stuff being channeled and money going to weird stuff. Wow. Right there is a silent weapon being used, folks. Silent weapon being used on you. What else does it say? Um, uh, when government is able to collect tax and seize private property without a just compensation. Yeah, they have certain laws. They can do it now. But without just compensation, in our system, they have to give you just compensation. But how long? Well, this is pure Marxism. This is spiritual communism here. Marx wanted to destroy private property because private property is the evil of all evil because it and it stops the elite from controlling it all. If I control my own house and my own private property, and I'm responsible, I learn to be a responsible citizen and learn to get along with other people. They want to erase that. They want to control it all. You're just sitting in your rented room with a bunch of other people in a communist hellhole because they seize private property because you're created to be a herd animal. You're a species being. You'll wake up someday until they beat you to death, and you are a communist, and all that. You're going to be a collectivist, a good fascist collectivist. Got to have fascism with its limited forms of economics to keep communism alive. Yeah, nice. Seize private property. The public is right for surrender. It is consenting to enslavement and legal encroachment. We're seeing some of that, don't you think? We certainly are. Okay, I want to get to this last part and close with this. It says each class in guaranteeing its own level of income controls the class immediately below it and hence preserves the class structure. This provides stability, security, but also government from the top. What's that mumbo jumbo talking about, folks? That sentence, each class is guaranteed its own level of income and controls the class immediate below. This is classical Marxism. Oppressed versus the oppressor. Each class guaranteeing its own income controls the class. The oppressor controls the oppressed class below them and hence preserves the class structure. So you have to destroy that. This provides stability and security, but also government from the top to destroy this system. Seize your private property. They want everything. As time goes on, communication, education improve. The lower class elements of the labor structure become knowledgeable and envious of the good things that the upper class members have. They also begin to attain knowledge of energy systems, how to make money and make it work and do investments, okay? And the ability to enforce their rise in the class structure. No, you can't have that. No. Why? Because this threatens the sovereignty of the elite. You have psychopathic thinking. Karl Marx, I'm absolutely convinced, was a psychopath. Yeah, and a lot of psychopaths don't like to take baths, and Karl Marx didn't take a bath. I'm not going to, don't have a psychological profile, but I can develop one from his writings. Lazy bum. So is Engels. I won't get into all that. Led to the slaughter of multiplied millions of people. They estimate close to 150 to 200 million people died of this thing, and several billions of people injured by Marxism, socialism, fascism, all combined. I'm telling you, I think it's 200 million died and billions suffered for the consequences of that. Okay, this threatens the sovereignty of the elite. If this rise of the lower class can be postponed long enough, the elite can achieve energy dominance. They control everything, and labor by consent no longer will hold a position of an essential energy source. You'll own nothing and you will be happy. Until such energy dominance is absolutely established, the consent of the people to labor and let others handle their affairs must be taken into consideration. Since failure to do so could cause the people to interfere with the final transfer of energy sources, their money, their wealth, their livelihoods, who they are as human beings, to the control of the elite. In other words, people wise up. If you get smart, have an education, you can defeat this garbage. It is essential to recognize that at this time public consent is still an essential key to the release of energy in the process of economic amplification. In other words, we still need the serf class to bleed them dry. The good source of income, will bleed them dry slowly like a vampire. And you'll be my victim. Okay. Therefore, consent as an energy release mechanism will now be considered. Amazing document. Blew me away when I read it. Talks here, um, artificial wombs. They're even trying to create artificial wombs, okay? And they say they want to put down this last period. This is the equally true of both general public and the elite. However, there is a definite difference in the way each of these classes go about solution of problem. The artificial womb. This is the in theosophy, that right there is the first root race, artificial womb. Okay, structure of a nation, second root race. Um, Developing your sense of hearing and sight and all that. The primary reason why industrial individual citizens of a country create political structures is a subconscious wish to and desire to perpetuate their own dependency relationship of childhood. Nope. This is an abuse of power they're talking about here. So the government will act like the parent. And the second root race, the first root and third root race theory of the occult world, H.P. Blavatsky taught, um, the hierarchy acted like the elites who fed you like this way. This public demand is incredible, so the human god, the politician, meets incredibility and with incredibility by promising the world and delivering nothing. So who is the bigger liar, the public or the Godfather? Well, the Godfather is. But public behavior is rendered born of fear, laziness, and expediency. It is the basis of welfare state as a strategic weapon useful against a disgusting public. Action, offense, the third root race stage. Most people want to be able to subdue or kill other human beings, which disturbs their daily lives. No, I don't. I don't want to do that. It's not in me. I don't. They do not want to have to cope with the moral and religious issues in which such an overt act on their part might raise. Well, amen to that. Therefore, they assign the dirty work to others, including their own children. Oh, these people are sick. They rave about the humane treatment of animals and then sit down to a delicious hamburger from a whitewashed slaughterhouse down the street and out of sight. But even more hypocritical, they pay taxes to finance the Professional Association of Hitmen, collectively called politicians, then complain about the corruption of government. These people are sick. Okay. So summary, people are hire politicians. No, we don't. We elect them so that the people can obtain security. Now, the liberal elites, leftists, Marxists, your liberal politicians, you were hired to do a job, and you're not elected to represent the people. You're here to do the elite's bidding. Obtain security without managing it, attain action without thinking about it, inflict theft, injury, and death upon others without having to contemplate either life or death. Wow, we just went through 4 years of all this stuff. This is the government, avoid responsibility for their own intentions. The politicians obtain the benefits of reality of science without exerting themselves in the discipline or facing or learning either of these things. In other words, they make huge, big, long, 2, 3, 4,000 page bills they never read and vote on them real quick. Yeah. They give the politicians the power to create and manage the war machine. Yeah, it's all about war, baby. Provide for politicians provide for the survival of the nation. The womb. The nation is the womb. It is the first root race stage to realize that you're just a blob of goo, and the nanny state will take care of you. Okay. Provide for the survival of the womb, the nation. Prevent encroachment of anything upon the nation womb, and destroy the enemy who threatens the nation womb. Destroy those citizens of their own country who do not conform for the sake of stability of the nation womb. Wow, isn't that something? There's one more thing here. They want to enforce this and what they do here, they want to destroy the family. It's enforcement. Every social system approach stability is achieved only by understanding and accounting for human nature, action, reaction, patterns. A failure to do so can be as usually as disastrous for the elite As in other human social schemes, one form or another of intimidation or incentive is essential to the success of the draft. Physical principles of action and reaction must be applied. Um, um, Hegel's system, critical theory, whatever, must be applied to both internal and external subsystems. Okay. Learned that in college about critical systems theory, criticizing everything to death. To secure the draft, individual brainwashing and programming of both the family unit and peer group must be engaged and brought under control. Now, they're talking about the military draft, or they're talking about drafting you into a system. They're talking to you about drafting you into the system. Now, I want to just again bring this up. The abuser becomes perceived as a safe haven, okay, who they can turn to. That's the idea. It's a push-pull thing they do. Um, that's what happens. So how do you get there? You have to destroy the family and turn it all to the government. So the father, the man of the household, must be housebroken to ensure that Junior will grow up in the right social training and attitudes. The advertising media are engaged to see to it that the father to be is blanked whip before or by the time he is married. He is taught that he either conforms to the social notch cut out for him, or his sex life will be hobbled and his tender companionship will be zero. He is made to see that women demand security more than logical principle and honorable behavior. Boy, these people are absolutely sick. They have no ability of what human relationships are about. These are psychopaths. By the son or daughter must go to war. The father with jelly for a backbone will slam a gun into Junior's hand. Okay, let's modernize this. They'll accept communism and put the gun of communism in their hand. That's what they're talking about. They want to take over the schools. The mother, the female element of human society, is ruled by emotion first, then logic second. They obviously have not been married, I guess, or that's why these people are very sick. A woman with a newborn baby is too starry-eyed to see a wealthy man's cannon fodder or cheap source of slave labor. The woman must, however, be conditioned to accept the transition to reality when it comes sooner or later. Okay, as transition becomes more difficult to manage, the family unit must be carefully disintegrated, and state-controlled public education and state-operated child care centers must become more common and legally enforced so as to begin the detachment of the child from the mother and the father at an early age. Inoculation of behavioral drugs, Ritalin, can speed up the transition of a child. Mandatory. Caution, a woman's impulsive anger can override her fear. An irate woman's power must never be underestimated, and her power over a blank-whipped husband must likewise never be underestimated. It got women to vote in 1920. Oh, wow. How horrible, man. So, my God, women should have been able to vote from the day they started voting, but no. My gosh. So it's not about going to war. It is about destroying and taking over the family. Junior, the emotional pressure for self-preservation during the time of war and self-serving attitude of the common herd that have an option to avoid the battlefield. If Junior can be persuaded to go, is all the pressure finally necessary to propel the Johnny go off to war? Their quiet blackmailings of him are threats. No sacrifice, no friends, no glory, no girlfriends. Boy, these guys are sick. Basically, they teach you to be a pacifist, and I won't get into that. Factor cattle. Those who will not use their brains are no better off than those who have no brains. And so this mindless school of jellyfish, father, mother, son, daughter, become useful beasts of burden or trainers of the same. As I said, these people are sick. That's the verbiage of a psychopath. That is how they think about their victims, who they're plotting against. I know I've taken over 2 hours in this. Watch it at your leisure. Probably bored the heck out of you. But again, The process of brainwashing rests on the creation of stress or threat with no escape other than compliance to this apparent safe haven of the totalitarian regime or group. Alexander Stein continues to write in Terror, Love, and Brainwashing, the alternation of love and fear within an isolating environment results in disassociated, loyal, and deployable for follower who can now be instructed to act in the interest of the leader rather than his or own survival interest. As she concludes in this statement, Terror, Love, and Brainwashing, and Alexander Stein wrote, I quote, as the Stockholm Syndrome, thus does the abuser become the perceived safe haven, a person or entity to whom one can turn to for help, mercy, forgiveness, and comfort. Wow. Amazing, isn't it? AI governance. Yep. They got this little thing here they want to control everything by. Make you lazy. Not creative. Just tell the AI once you want it does it for you. You don't even have to paint a painting and it can paint it for you. Yep. That's right, man. Yes, to save the planet and help the population decrease, degrowth the economic system so you can be controlled and tracked. Yep, that's right. Yep, level 1 foundational. You're just a little orb that puts inside of a bunch of little orb ball, and that ball goes inside of a cube, a Borg-like collective hive. Yep. Yeah, if you don't comply, you face heavy fines. Yep, AI governance. And also, you have to be censored. And again, I conclude with Sololinsky, I can't pronounce his name, Alexander guy who wrote Gulag Archipelago. There are always this fallacious belief that it would not be the same here. Here, such things are impossible. Alas, all evil of the 20th century is possible everywhere on earth. How right is that? He lived it. I grew up on the East Coast in Virginia. A lot of Cubans who escaped Fidel Castro's communist revolution, Vietnamese who escaped from communism, who firsthand knowledge of it, I learned at an early age from survivors of it. And some of these people who are my age, whatever, who've been through this stuff or seen it firsthand, are shouting warnings. We're in the midst of a Maoist cultural revolution, and thank God that the skids have been put on it temporarily. We do not know which way it will go. As I said in the first video about, I had this vision because someone was praying about putting an iron dome over your country, and I saw the caissons going by and dragging cannons and running over this document like, haha, you forgot that to look for the enemy within, the enemy below, and the abyss, coming up to support and destroy your country from within. You forgot to pray about that. So, anyway, silent weapons for quiet wars. And what do you think? Put it in the description. I know this is a long video and you're probably bored as heck. And it's late at night and I'm tired, but I want to get this video going. So I'll just go over here real quick to the Jackie's here. Hi, Jackie. And Faith says, Jackie, have you got any better? Okay. Yes, I've gained some weight and I'm feeling a lot better since my first chemo treatment. Thank the Lord. Hallelujah. They're pulling me off chemo to try immune therapy. The doctor recommended it over aggressive chemo. Amen. We'll keep you in. We will keep you in the prayers. People are praying for. Keep praying for her. Thank you for your prayers. Amen. Everyone, keep praying for her. Let's see, I tried to post about vids of preachers that butchered Bible verses in the live chat. made it disappear. That's unusual. I haven't touched the live chat. That's something I'm not aware of. Yeah, the AI probably is self-aware. Oh, oh. So I'll close with this before I fall asleep. Some of you guys are awake. Hope some people in Europe will wake up to this. Hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's 2 hours long. I said I should have done it in 3 parts, but I just wanted to read this to you so you can see with a backdrop. You could connect it to AI governance and how they talked about computers in this document in 1954ish or 60s or in the 80s. They didn't have this technology, and how apropos it fits to today and what we're seeing. It describes it to a T. Okay. So Ben Thomas says, "Hi, Brian. Do you have an email that I can contact you with?" I sure do. I'm going to put that up here right now. If you look on your screen, my contact information is there. My website, afterhourministry.com, email, bwmelbourne1@gmail.com. It's all there on the screen. You can write it down, take a screenshot of it. If you like to support what I do, my the pal that pays you is all my information's there. You can use either one of those 2 emails. And I have 2 books, The Land Unknown, Hell's Dominion, and Heaven Beckons, which I'll be talking about Heaven Beckons next time I'm online. We'll talk about heaven and the afterlife and more pleasant things than this, because I probably need a break from it more than you guys do. Because the more I uncover, the more I blows my mind of what I'm seeing, and I can't believe psychopaths that are out there in high positions of authority running things. We just had one in office for 4 years. All the traits of an SO. If you don't know what an SO is, it's an offender who of a sexual nature, but you just turn it around and then SO. And he likes to sniff hair. Whew. He likes the little girls of a certain type, and you see it. He tells kids at a pool that they like to stroke his white legs and watch the hair stand up. Psychopath talk, folks. I was in the field. I dealt with these people. I had to put up 4 years with this dude, going through Alzheimer's, which makes his condition even worse. And the news media blacked it out. Everything I read in that document fits what you just saw for the last 4 years and why you saw it. It's the destruction of all that's decent and good, exchanging reality for a false, subjective reality that does not work, and make you enjoy the ride to perdition as a slave of Satan's slaves. So with that, you guys be blessed in Jesus' name, and until next time, God bless you all.